Well, good evening. My name is Dan Krueger, living in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and am in my fifth year, if you want to call it that, if there is such a thing, in the MDiv program, but have been mostly an online student for the majority of the classes that I've taken here, and hopefully I will be graduating this in 2020, spring of 2020. So that's the goal, and moving through these classes at what some would call a snail's pace, but I think it's works well with a full-time job and other things that I have to take care of during the day. Currently, I'm also in a class, the field education class, and so I'm serving actually three churches, two UCC churches that recently merged, that are also in a Manitowoc Cooperative Ministry, it's called, with a Presbyterian church. So it's been a highlight of my fall and now coming into winter and spring, being able to serve a lot of different people and places and see different styles of worship that are within the context of Christian worship. What brings me to this class is I have been a lay pastor in the UCC for approximately 10 years and have had the honor and the privilege of being on worship planning teams that looked at everything from liturgy to how songs fit in to different special music to thematic uses such as movies through a whole season of the year to try to capture those. One of the ones I thought that we did really well was utilizing the characters of The Wizard of Oz over a whole Lenten period, which again kind of brought the liturgy and the worship service and the message kind of home to where people could visualize the characters, but also visualize those things in themselves in relationship to God and Jesus Christ. So it was kind of a fun event. So I've had that kind of experience over the years, and again, I grew up in the UCC church. My grandfather was a ordained UCC pastor, as well as my father was a lay pastor and commissioned pastor in Wisconsin. And I also have a uncle who's a conference minister, retired in the Indiana and Kentucky area. I guess the pastors, or I guess the worship styles that I like to see, are where we blend things, where we not only keep the traditions of what we know are important to a lot of people, but those things that maybe give them a glimpse of things that come to them in a more modern basis, and give them the chance to explore those themes, such as there are some great contemporary Christian music, but I would also say there's some good secular music that takes the themes of God's love and brings them to another, generation of ears that maybe they don't fully understand what they're hearing, but when we can actually put them into the context of, again, Christian worship and love for one another, I think really expands that and gives them something they can take home. And also lets them have the ability to explore on their own these themes within their own lives and context. So again, the style of worship that I really love is where we actually are able to do those kind of blendings and give time for silence and give time for prayer, but also time for celebration and time for contemplation of the human, again, condition and what God's will is for us and where we need to be attentive. As far as pastors, I would say I love listening to one of my mentors, Reverend Greg Welton, who serves at one of the churches that I've also served at in Sheboygan. And his style of delivering a message is very much brought to the history, allowing us to hear the scripture, but also bring it into today's context, and not being afraid of the subject matter and where it may lead him. Very free form, but also I would say 90% of the time he preaches from amongst the congregation. which gives the effect of we're in this together. Yes, there's an authority, but there's also this thing that pastors need to be able to be with the congregation at the same time as they're giving a message. I think that's important. I also enjoyed watching or listening to, for example, some of my family, be it my grandfather, my father, my uncle, and how they took the preparation and really brought the scholarly edge, the traditional edge, and had a good speaking style that allowed people to have the time to be with them in that message. And one of the things my uncle is really good at is giving folks something to take home with them that says, okay, here was the message, but here's your instructions for the week. This is what we need to be attentive to. This is what we're being asked to do. So again, that style where we're bringing into context what it is that we need to be a part of, and what we also need to do for ourselves within that context of, again, Christian love and love of our Creator. So that in those regards, I think that's kind of what brought me to this class, as well as some of the history of why. I look forward to meeting many of you. I've had a few of you in some of my other classes throughout the years, and again, look forward to spending some time exploring these themes and the abilities that are gifts that we've been given that allow us to do things differently and have that time to, again, learn from each other and find those things that are fun. One of the notes I do enjoy within the liturgy or the worship itself is, again, bringing in different styles of music. Myself being I play in a rock band on weekends, so you'll sometimes, many times, see me on a Saturday night playing the night before, but then again, being the pastor in the morning that talks about that's who we are, that's what we do, and again, bringing that music style into allowing our younger generations to learn that it's not just an organ music, and it doesn't have to be the rock band that's playing in front of you. Maybe it's a single guitar that sounds like something you'd have at a campfire. But learn those songs that give us some connections to our past, but also allow those songs to be sung in the future. So look forward to meeting all of you, and let's get to spring as soon as possible.